Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another chapter of Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj's I Am That. And today we will be looking at chapter 20. It's another good chapter, but I will not be sharing all of it, only the first part. But I was looking at the title, The Supreme is Beyond All, and I was thinking we could just repeat that and contemplate that and really drink in what it's saying. The Supreme is beyond all. And maybe we should just sit there and inhale and exhale this great pointer, this great truth, that the supreme, the absolute supreme reality is beyond all, beyond body, mind, time, and space. It's beyond all, it's prior to all. It encompasses all, it is the source of all. So it is both and beyond. So welcome to chapter 20. It's not about a feeling, but gosh, it does feel good to hear the truth, to feel the truth. Okay. The questioner says, you say reality is one. Oneness, unity, is the attribute of the person. Is then reality a person with the universe as its body? Nisargadatta Maharaj says, whatever you may say will be both true and false. Words do not reach beyond the mind. And I think it's important, again, to remember there's so much paradox in all of this. It seems to always be both. If you say, it's only this, then notice you've chosen one side, but it's always both sides. It's both sides. The absolute is the relative at the same time. So whatever you say verbally, as a concept, as an idea, as a symbol, it's always going to be true and false. At every level, you could say there is truth. Is there free will? Well, at some level, yes, you can see that there is. But at a higher level, no, there's no free will, for example. So words do not reach beyond the mind because words live inside the mind. Is there really a mind? Can you find a mind? Can you see a mind? No, but we experience the mind as one thought followed by another thought, or even a process of thoughts. But these thoughts are just unspoken words. So same thing, thoughts, words, they are the mind. They exist within the mind, but they cannot go beyond the mind. I am just trying to understand. You are telling us of the person, the self, and the supreme. Vyakti, vyakta, avyakta. The light of pure awareness, prajna. Focused as I am in the self, jivatma, as consciousness, chaitana, illumines the mind, antakarana, and as life, prana, vitalizes the body, deha. All this is fine as far as the words go, but when it comes to distinguishing in myself the person from the self and the self from the supreme, I get mixed up. I get confused. Who am I in all of this, right? We're always trying to find out, who am I? You know, we're so obsessed with identification. I have to identify with something. I have to find myself, is basically what the ego is saying. Where am I in all of this, in all of these words, in all of these concepts? Which one of these describes me, right? Of course, none of them ultimately describe you because you are undescribable. You can never be a word, a thought, or a concept, or an idea. You are so much more than that. Yesterday, during one of the chapters that I read, right, Nisargadatta said, You can't be what you think you are. Your self-image is the most changeful thing you have. You are at the mercy of any passerby. If somebody walks by and smiles, oh, that person smiled at me. They must think I'm whatever. Or if they frown or make a face, oh, what did I do wrong? So the self-image is very unstable. It's very changeful. So who am I, right? Who am I? Maharaj says the person is never the subject. Wow, that's quite astonishing, I think. The person is never the subject. For sure, if you ask many persons, many people, they would say, of course I am the subject. I am a person, I am the subject. Everything else is the object. But Nisargadatta says, you can see a person, but you are not the person. And if you can see the person, then you must be something perceivable. But what is that which is perceiving? What is that that sees the person? And how, again, do we define the person? Is it just the body? Is the body, does it connote the person? Or is the person the psychological self? Is it something tangible, the person? Can you point to the person? Same thing with the mind, right? We said, can you point to the mind? Can you point to the person? You can point to the body, but is that a person? Nisargadatta says, you are always the supreme. You are always the supreme. There's never a moment when you are not the absolute supreme reality. So guess what? That means right now, you are the absolute supreme reality. And of course, the mind can say, but I don't feel like it. I don't feel like the absolute supreme. Well, what are you supposed to feel like? There's an assumption that if I am the absolute supreme, that I should feel a certain way, that I should experience life in a certain way. Maybe I should be able to see auras or have supernatural powers or cities or something like that. But these are all assumptions. These are things we believe to be true, but aren't necessarily true. Because the truth is you are the absolute supreme reality. So whatever it is that you're experiencing, even if you're experiencing yourself as being a contracted, limited person, okay, that's oneness appearing as a contracted, limited person. And that's okay, of course. Because in oneness, again, there are no problems. There are no problems. But Nisargadatta says, you are always the supreme, which appears at a given point of time and space as the witness, as a witness. A bridge between the pure awareness of the supreme and the manifold consciousness of the person. So the witness, the I am again, I am the witness, I am witnessing all of these things. The I am is the bridge between the pure awareness of the Supreme, which doesn't have an individual witness in it, and the manifold consciousness of the person, all of the things that constitute that which we call person. So when I look at myself, I find I am several persons fighting among themselves for the use of the body. Now, I think most people would be, I don't know, maybe anxious to admit this, but of course, for all of us, I'm assuming, we understand what this person is saying. In other words, we don't just have one voice in our head or one personality, one state of mind, one emotion, one feeling. There are many different sort of thoughts, attitudes, opinions, and many of them are contradictory. As this person says, they are fighting each other inside of my head, and they're fighting for the use of this body. Now, we could take this farther, and we could talk about, well, I don't want to. But anyways, so there are many different thoughts. And of course, remember, you are part of the universal consciousness. So I think it's Pamela Wilson has said, look, all of these thoughts can't just be for myself. Excuse me. Because some of the thoughts that come into our consciousness seem so different than, let's say, our normal thoughts. So it's because we are one with all of this consciousness that sometimes, we will experience different thoughts, different states of mind, different feelings, different experiences, different belief systems even. So, and again, if you're trying to find yourself in all of this variety, it can be very confusing. You will feel mixed up, as the person here has said. Okay, when I look at myself, yes, I find I'm several persons fighting among themselves for the use of the body. And Nisargadatta says they correspond to the various tendencies, samskara, of the mind. Can I make peace between them? Nisargadatta says, how can you? They are so contradictory. See them as they are, mere habits of thoughts and feelings, bundles of memories and urges. See them as they are, habits of thought. We have habitual thought. If you really pay attention to your thoughts, you'll see that they're quite repetitive and quite boring. If you continue to watch them, it's like the same desires, the same fears. So after a while, hopefully, they lose their energetic charge, their emotional charge, the more we see them. For some people, they don't lose their charge and they stay alive with that human being throughout their whole lifetime. Maybe somebody that has a distinct fear of something. And it's amazing in a sense that fear can remain with them the whole lifetime. Or it could be the desire. It could be the desire for enlightenment. I'm sure we all have experienced that within ourselves or within friends of ours, where there's this desire for God, desire for enlightenment, desire for truth, and it stays with us throughout our lifetime. The questioner says, yet they all say, I am. Nisargadatta says, it is only because you identify yourself with them. Once you realize that whatever appears before you cannot be yourself and cannot say, I am, you are free of all your persons and their demands. The sense, I am, is your own. You cannot part with it. But you can impart it to anything, as in saying, I am young, I am rich, etc. But such self-identifications are patently false and the cause of bondage. Again, Nisargadatta says, try not to say, I am this or I am that. Of course you can. But realize that ultimately, all of these things that you're identifying with and as are patently false and the cause of bondage. I can now understand that I'm not the person, but that which, when reflected in the person, gives it a sense of being. Now, about the Supreme, in what way do I know myself as the Supreme? The source of consciousness cannot be an object in consciousness. To know the source is to be the source. When you realize that you are not the person, but the pure and calm witness, and the fearless awareness is your very being. That fearless awareness is your very being. You are the being. It is the source, the inexhaustible possibility. Let me read that again. Sorry about my nose. The source of consciousness cannot be an object in consciousness. To know the source is to be the source. Think about that too. If you're knowing anything, there's still duality. I know this subject, knowing, object, right? So to know the source really and ultimately is to be the source. It's to be the Pada Brahman, the absolute reality. When you realize that you are not the person, oh, I'm not all of these different voices in my head. I'm not the person. I'm not the psychological self, but the pure and calm witness. Aha. And that fearless awareness is your very being. You are the being. Notice he says fearless awareness. What would awareness be afraid of? How could it even have a fear? It is untouched, indestructible, birthless, deathless. You can't destroy awareness. You can't touch, harm, or injure awareness, just like this space here. Right? You can't hurt the space. You can't hurt awareness. You can't hurt spirit. And because of that, we use this, or Nisargadatta uses the word fearless. It's almost, I don't want to say silly to even mention it, but of course he's pointing to something that when you're really established in the awareness, when you see that this is your being, when you realize it, there's no fear. Why would there be fear? If you've realized this awareness, well, there's no more fear of death because you're no longer identifying with the body which is born and dies. You're identifying with that which is birthless and deathless. So the fear of death is gone. The fear of pain, as I just said, will be gone. There's no need to fear. As you identify and realize, it's more than identification, it's the realization of this pure awareness, of this pure beingness. It is the source, the inexhaustible possibility. This makes me think of Deepak Chopra, whom I love. And he's always talking about infinite possibilities, infinite intelligence, infinite. And I love the biblical quote, with God, all things are possible. And now I say all things are possible with God because God is all possibilities. If God is the totality of consciousness, then God is all possibilities. All the possibilities we can think of, and of course, so many more. So all of these great pointers from Nisargadatta, all of these words can really send us into many different directions in a sense, and we can interpret them at the level that we are at in our consciousness. We can perceive them just like a great painting or a work of art. Everyone will see that painting in a different way. And the same thing can be said with Nisargadatta's words, or any wisdom anywhere, any truth. There's still this filter, and this filter perceives art, beauty, wisdom, and truth in its own unique way. And that's, of course, perfect and wonderful, and that's just how it is. Okay. Thank you, Nisargadatta. I apologize again for my my nose. That's the human body. Sometimes it gives us these problems. But to be honest, the only reason I started having these issues is because I was feeling so much love. And I have so much gratitude to Nisargadatta. And when I read his words, they just still, after all these years, they just penetrate something in my being. I could drink Nisargadatta's words. I could drink them every day for the rest of my life. And they continue just to nourish my heart, to give me joy. So it's not about me. I'm not just sharing. Yeah. I think it's worth reading this one more time. Actually, this too, though. Whatever you may say will be both true and false. Words do not reach beyond the mind. The person is never the subject. You can see a person, and because you can see the person, you are not the person. You must be that which is prior to the person. that which is aware of the person. You are always the supreme. You are always the supreme, which appears at a given point of time and space as the witness. The witness, I am the witness, is the bridge between the pure awareness of the supreme and the manifold consciousness of the person. I find several persons fighting among themselves. Look, don't be afraid about this. There aren't many persons. There are no persons, right? He says these are just different samskaras. These are just different. Remember, what is the mind? It's desires and fears, memories, fantasies, right? Memories of the past, fantasies of the future, imagination. I mean, the mind, actually, there is no mind. There's just this supreme consciousness. And mind is a tool created out of this consciousness. And it's infinite in its intelligence and creativity. So there aren't little people in here. There are no persons. There are no people. There's just thoughts, creativity, consciousness, intelligence, thoughts moving around. And it will be confusing for you if you identify and try to find yourself in thought. You can't find yourself in thought. You can't find yourself in thought. You are not a thought. You are not a thought. You are not a thought. What are you? You are always the supreme, the absolute supreme reality, the Parabrahman, oneness, wholeness, beingness, always and already. This is the case. Yeah. Once you realize that whatever appears before you cannot be yourself and cannot say I am, these thoughts can't really say I am. You are free of all your persons. The sense I am is your own. You always know I am. A few chapters back, Nisargadatta says, is there ever a time that you don't exist or that you're not aware? This question is so great. It's such a great question. No, the truth is, of course, you are always existing and always aware. When you wake up in the morning, both beingness and awareness are there. And throughout the day, they are there. They do not leave you. Beingness and awareness. So this is what's true. This is what is. Be with what is. Merge, marinate, dissolve into this love and this compassion and this beingness and awareness. And just allow life to flow and just be the witness, watching life flow. And you can jump in there, of course, and live life and, engage in life. That's wonderful. Dance with life, sing, play. But always knowing that you are just the witness, that you are not the doer. You are not the doer of life, but the witness of life. Okay. Thank you so much, Nisargadatta Maharaj. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Blessings upon everyone. And thank you so much. And I feel like I could just keep going, but okay, have a wonderful day. Thank you, everybody. Om Namaste. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om peace, peace, peace. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be blessed. May all beings have health and happiness. May all beings wake up to the reality of their inherent true nature. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye. Thank you.